Speaking of history, Tim, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You
do it. You do the rundowns.
I know, but do you have your notes ready? Is what I'm
I
asking.
have my notes ready.
Good. So we are here tonight talking about the Earth Elemental Plane Arc Part 2. So we talked about Part 1 last week. So last week we saw the party head into the Earth Elemental Plane for the first time, and trying to navigate that, fighting a young cave dragon. We got taken. We went to the fighting pits of the Scar. We won back Kern and Mira. We managed to, rest for the night, and we meet a very charming, very handsome Minotaur the next morning who tries to offer us a job with a up and coming owner, I suppose, in the Scar named Baba. And then we realized, we portrayed to Letters that we had to leave. And he was like, oh, when then we said, do you want to come? We have to go do this mission. So, and he said yes. So then
That sounds great.
Yeah, we go to Jungle's Conch and we're about to plan a meeting to try and figure out how we're going to go break into one of these mines to go get Gorge out. Yeah, Kreger's friend, because we owed him one. And then we got hit by a bunch of giants throwing boulders at us, breaking into the bar. And that is where we pick off with session 29, called A Rock and a Hard Place, on June 2nd of 2019. Now, there's a lot of rock, dust, and gravel metaphors in these arcs. Did you want me to start it? Do you want to go, Tim?
You go.
Okay.
This is your jam. I'm just along for the ride. This is great.
Well, because I think, Sean, you weren't here for a couple of these.
No, I was here for all of this.
Were you here for all of this?
I was. This was like.
Oh, this was
my second. I wasn't gonna miss the second session. The
true.
Baron von Kron situation. That was a lot of numbers, having a good time. But this was Letters, like just running with the bulls. Like, let's do it. Deep end.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
So please, both of you, please feel free to jump in at any time. Sean, with whatever you remember too. So we keep running through the streets, and these giants are throwing boulders at us. Kokanee and Letters just get absolutely smoked in the middle of the street, but we manage to keep going. And we are ushered into safety by a giant named Kargan, who we had met before, and he's a smaller desert giant with a few petch who work for him. And Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, but his petch aren't slaves. He pays them,
No,
right?
he pays them.
He pays them. So, which made him definitely different. He manages to distract the other giants, and we take shelter inside his hut. And up to this point, and I think this was like half of the party was trying to spur on a petch rebellion. There were like these half-assed attempts to spur on a petch rebellion, and half of the party was like, no, we just got to get in and get out. We can't go causing too much ruckus here. We're here to get one petch. We are not in a place where we can upend an entire system. And then everyone else was like, no, we're going to start talking to the petch. We're going to start rousting rebellion, talking about Groom Bar and shit. So Kargan had heard about this and confronts us and says, how can you assure Groombar's return? You've been talking about this. How do you know? And we're all like, He's talking mainly to Kokanee at this point. And Kokanee's like, I can't. And he's like, well, I was here when Groombar left. He says he's several mountains old. And we're like, okay. You've been here a long time. And he says that Groombar left the Scar a very long time ago to seek his sister, who we know to be Sean. Who is Groombar's
I know their
sister.
names. I feel like it would be Bugatti, get in my car. Screaming in my car. Don't need a tissue for my car. Wait.
Oh my
Quinn
God.
Larynx. Wait. No. It's, look, if you just ask me which one was which, that's a different thing.
Yes.
This is a whole different context. You're asking me to apply knowledge on top of applied knowledge. Because we're in Groombar's car. It's a Bugatti. He's hitting the road, and where is he driving to? His sister's place.
Yes.
Bugatti's not a car, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. It's fantasy, Tim. You should have been here for the first one. Groombar, get in my car. It's a Bugatti. I'm hitting the road.
So there's two of them.
Yes. Wait. It's a Cadi Bugatti, the Viper of the Sky.
Oh no,
That's
Bugatti.
right.
I'm thinking of a Ducati.
Ducati's a
We've
bike,
already been
Bugatti's a
here.
car.
Tim, we've already been through this.
My
Please
But
bad.
you
don't
weren't here.
My
Yay!
bad.
Come get in my car. So Tim, the way it goes,
I'm familiar with the mnemonic.
No, I think you need to know. It's a Bugatti, the Viper of the. All right.
So yes, he has gone to seek his sister Akadi. And once Groombar left, the Tao rose up and took power over the giants as the more ruling class within the city and enslaved all the Petch. The Petch were not slaves when Groombar was around. The giants then managed to rise up and reclaim some of the power, but now there's this big power struggle between the Tao and the giants, and that's why the city's kind of divided in two, with the Tao side and then the giant side. I'm on the money with that, right, Tim?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay, good.
Nailed it.
So then we learn a little bit about Mellack, Mellack's compound on the western side of the city, which are mining camps where the Petch live, but they're guarded and watched by a head guard whose name is Nas, and he has a sand spider that likes to eat Petch. So we were like, no, thank you. No, that's bad. And then Kargan starts speaking to Kokanee directly and is like, he puts his hands on Kokanee's shoulders and starts talking to him about how he needs to be careful with what they're talking about. And if he's promised that Groombar is going to return, he takes the shard of Groombar, which Kokanee is wearing at this point, and says, "This will weigh on you until you make good on your promise that Groombar will return." And I think I remember sitting in the circle and just like watching the color drain from Matt, being like, oh fuck, what have we done? And it's not religious magic of any times. It's not like magic linked to a deity, but it's like pact magic of some kind. And so now Kokanee is bound to try and fulfill this. And he literally feels the shard of Groombar weigh heavier on him, which I thought was intense. And we were like, oh shit, we are not from here and we can't go.
You just go around promising rebellion. Like, yeah, it's gonna be great, you guys. And then just fucking bounce.
On lots of rebellions. You're gonna have a great time.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna turn out great for you guys.
Rebellions for
They're literal giants. You've got this.
Once the coast is clear, we thank Kargan for harboring us, and then we sneak back to the Slab, which is the inn that we were staying at, and we managed to get Kern and Mira out, and we plane shift to Kameas with them, as well as Letters, taking him to the material plane for the first time, and Letters is pretty much in awe. Sean, tell me what it was like for you playing Letters, like going to this place that he never thought he'd ever be before.
Oh, and not even never thought he'd even be, but couldn't even conceive of. Like, I remember it was just, what was really fun is just like, all the things that I like plants and stuff. You'd be like, what is this weird green rock? It sucks. Like, it just breaks. That's dumb. And then, like, I think fucking him and Finnan made friends with like a pack of street dogs, and we're like, Kamea, can we keep them?
Found a pack of street dogs and just started bringing them home with you.
That sounds like friends. I don't know if you've ever made friends with street dogs, Emma, but that's how it goes.
Absolutely.
If they're following you, you're part of the pack. You're friends. I saw the ocean. I mean, Letters saw the ocean, which is very disconcerting. It's like a big shiny rock that just doesn't stay still.
Soft.
That's fucking weird. Yeah, it's just big soft rock.
I mean, you experienced water for the first time.
Yeah. Weird. It's like spider milk, but way thinner, not nearly as viscous. It's weird. Liked the sand though. The sand next to all that water. Big fan. But dogs are great. Like, dogs are cool. I think there was a drum circle on the beach. I feel like there was a drum circle. That was where it started.
Yeah.
And I said, drum circles, this is great. I live for this now.
Yes. And you met Duomo.
And we met Duomo, possibly the most important NPC we've come across.
Yes.
Duomo, white guy dreads, like sheep pants.
Yeah.
Duomo.
Too leathery. Like,
such a clear image in my head of Duomo.
Never a shirt.
Clearest NPC.
Maybe a vest. but
Leathery
rarely.
skin.
Oh, yeah.
Leathery skin.
Sun-kissed.
Puka shells. Lots of
Oh,
puka shells.
absolutely. Lots of shells, just in general.
Spends a lot of time on the beach. You find a lot of shells.
Not a lot of shells.
Yeah. So Letters and Finnan take the night to go explore Wolfreen. And we send to King Evard to let him know that Kern and Mira are safe. King Evard being Mira's father, the king of Svel-En, and we'll get them home as soon as we can. He sounds very pained. He sounds like he's in a lot of pain, but he's grateful that they're alive, and he says thank you. That night, Yana asks Neppy to scry on her mother again, and we see her in the bright keep polishing a shiny silver tray that's almost chrome. She has short cropped hair, and that looks like it's been cut short. She's wearing ragged clothes, and they're somewhat shouting at her, but Neppy can't make out what they're saying. So then after this, Kokanee tells Neppy that he needs Torin's spear. That Torin had left a book for Kokanee and like instructions for Kokanee about what to do after his death with respect to like the stuff around the religion of Arathis, and he was like, Neppy, I need Torin's spear. Can you come with me? And I was like, sure. I was like, okay. So we go to the grave site, and Kokanee digs Torin up. And Neppy still has the skulls of Zacchus and Sindril at this point. And while Kokanee is just digging, she just like lights little funeral pyres and just burns the skin off of them, because we all know that that's what Neppy does. She had to do that with the other two, so she was like, well, I'll keep you company. You can dig our dead friend up, and I'll do this creepy shit over here.
It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. I'm not weird.
We're not weird.
Everyone
like,
does this back at home.
Yeah,
With this is
this is completely
I know we
normal.
just started dating, but I'm just gonna boil this skull.
So, do you have any hobbies? Because I love
I'm gonna dig up
skull boiling.
I'm gonna dig up our dead friend who's been dead for 4 days, and my girlfriend is gonna sit over here and, boil, get the skin off of some skulls.
Cook some skin.
Yeah. Creepy. So like Neppy is like just like praying and just doing some prayer rituals.
So, I just have to say that one of the things you can get in Juneau, Alaska, is organic salmon skin, where they take the skin off the salmon and they just sell it as dog treats, which is awful because then the dog breath just smells like fish breath. But in a reality in which you're like, oh, we got to remove this skin, and there's packs of wild dogs running around with Finnan letters, I love the idea of Neppy being like, oh, we got that off, and just like throwing it to like a fucking basset hound, and just like, and just eating villain skin.
We have a taste for villains.
It's important you install a taste for villains when they're puppies, and then they're great companion animals.
Oh, yeah. The small one. She's sad.
The small one is so sad.
So sad.
The small one is so sad this evening.
I'll be right back.
That's rough.
Yeah, sometimes the small one is upset. She doesn't like the story we're telling, or she can't sleep properly. So, the small one. So while this is happening, Kokanee reaches the casket, and we open it, and Torin is still there, still dead. He's about 4 days dead at this point. And so they take the spear, they close the casket, and take a moment to talk about their friend before he starts filling in the earth again. And before he starts filling in the earth, Neppy goes, I'm going to put this offer back on the table. I've got 5 days before he is beyond my grasp with Raised Dead, because I had access to Raised Dead at this point. And she said to Kokanee, she's like, you're his high priest. I am not the person who controls this. I know he told me to let him stay there, but I trust your judgment. If you think that he should come back, you've got 5 days, and I can do that for you. I will pray to her grace, and I can see if I can do that for you. So they talk about this a bit more, and they end up deciding against it collectively, not wanting to take Torin away from his family or even force him to make the choice to do so. And I think this was maybe me as Emma giving the offer to Adam to be like, do you want Torin back? Because you're really sad. We're all really sad. Do you want Torin back? And then he was like, no. Because I had made the offer to Adam to be like, I know you said that you didn't want Torin to come back to me as Torin. But if you're having buyer's remorse, please let me know and I can do this for you. So Adam had said no. So Kokanee and Neppy fill in the grave. And then Kokanee's like, do you want to go for a swim? And Neppy's like, yeah, let's go swimming. So then they go skinny dipping in the ocean. And that was the end of their evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I noticed we haven't talked about Callie's evening, but this is back in the Tim. Can I? Oh, okay. I'm
Tim, do you
ahead
want
of
to jump in?
myself.
Do you want
No, you go.
Okay.
You go.
So, as Neppy and Kokanee have gone down to the beach to go skinny dipping, later that night, back at the at Kamea's house, in the very, very small hours of the morning, Callie gets another nightmare of the Feywild, and she sees that part of the Feywild is growing, gnarled, and desiccated. She dreams of it smells like rot and sulfur and everything just cracking and breaking apart. And she wakes up, and so does Kamea. And she says, Kamea, I have to go track down the Baron. Like, there's more that's happening. This is like very intense. Something very bad is happening with the Feywild. I have to go. And she hadn't really told Kamea about her history at that point. She hadn't really told any of us about her history. She says, Taya, my past girlfriend, introduced me to Melora, but that was a long time ago, and the Baron stole everything from me. So I have to go track him down. That's my oath, to go track him down. So the next morning, Callie takes Kokanee and Neppy back to Torin's grave. So we're back there again, freshly
Are
dug
you
up.
sure you don't want to come back, dude?
We're there.
We haven't put him back in the ground yet. The dogs have been at him. He looks a little rough, but he's still got a skull, so we can still make this happen.
And so she tells us that she was part of an order of paladins who followed Melora, and that she fell in love with one of the other paladins, Taya, and Baron von Kron, who was a fiend, killed them all, and Callie was the only one who lived, and she wants revenge. And we're like, of course. Like, we're here with you. We will happily do this. We're going to the Scar today, but when we get back, we'll go.
You heard it here first, folks. Blackwater is pro vengeance. It's not about justice. It is about vengeance.
At that point, it was about vengeance. So we're kind of meandering through the day, kind of getting some things done, and Finnan asks Neppy about the gods, about Pelor specifically, and about the symptoms he's been experiencing: headaches, sudden blindness, a voice encouraging him to fight in Croden's Cross.
Are you suffering from Pelor?
Are you suffering from Pelor psychosis? And so Neppy's like, you should probably pray. You should for sure pray to Pelor and see what happens. Because if you've been having all these moments where you're experiencing these things when you're around other gods, you should probably try praying to the one who likely gives you your power. This might be comforting for you. And of course, she says it much nicer than that, but she's like, please pray. Just do that. So she prays, or she helps him set up a prayer space, and he reaches out and he hears his will clearly for the first time. Dear Dave, who we now know as Cadmiel, and his will says that Finnan is a vassal to please the Dawnfather and him. And Finnan says he'll do what he can, and his will says, no, you'll do what I tell you to. So start setting up not such a great relationship. Neppy checks in with Kokanee about what happened with the shard of Roombar. Feels heavier. He's like, it does actually weigh heavier, and she can detect some of the magic on it. And we decide to have Kern and Mira stay in the cellar at Kamea's, because if Mira will be killed if she's found, likely, and Kamea would likely be charged with treason at this point because Mira is still wanted for the
Wow.
death. Yeah, Mira is still essentially wanted for the death of the
Queen.
at this point. So we have Kreger plane shift us back into the mine using the talisman, and we stealth our way in to find Gorge. That was our plan, and we'll have Koken use the shard of Grimbar to get us back out. I'll go. And then we plane shift into the mine. And Tim, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Oh,
And you're going to go
boy.
deal with the small one.
I remember the mine very well. It was a whole lot of like, ooh, let's do some sneaking. Let's get past this. Let's get past that. And for the most part, we did pretty well.
You did pretty well.
Like,
and then,
it was.
she has something in here about, and I don't remember this, but I think what happened was you got in and you kind of got the jump on them. Kreger's skin started to solidify slightly as if he's becoming more rock-like. I think he had seen a basilisk because there was basilisk.
Yeah. Because we had those like earth genasi and the basilisks were the beasts of burden.
Yeah.
And oh my god.
And Koken
just had
cast silence. And you had a silent fight.
Yeah. Because we wanted to be sneaky. So because we like found these guards and their basilisks and we just beat them up in perfect silence, and it was a good time.
It was a very clutch move. It was a very, very clutch move. And there was, I mean, we'll get into this because then you met all the Petch and they told you about the Mother of Chasms. And there was a thing like mechanically I had planned. I was like, during that fight, like if it's too loud, the Mother of Chasms will be alerted. And like they'll have to deal with that, but because it was silent, none of that happened. So it was like it was this perfect thing of like, oh, I guess they won't have to deal with her, and it was like you'll just sidestep that whole thing.
That's so wild because what actually ended up happening. Okay, just remember the Mother of Chasms because
we'll come back.
We go down. We're like, hey, we're here to get Gorge. And the fucking, I forget the leader's name, but basically the voice of the Petch.
She has it in here that their name was Shale, which is ridiculous because one of the people you meet a little bit later is Shale. So I was like, oh.
People can have multiple names, Tim.
I know it's true.
People
it's
have
true.
rock.
It never happens in movies though. Nobody has the same name in a movie. But you're right. It's Shale. And
the point is
use that name later.
Shale Prime was like, here's the deal. You can take Gorge out of here, but they're going to notice and they're going to punish the lot of us.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, that's what we have to do. And there was a whole...
I don't think it was just Gorge. It was some of the party wanted to free everybody. They were like, we want to get all the Petch out. And it was
because our fucking teleport thing... okay, M can come back because we're gonna want the whole team in on this one.
Hello.
We're talking about the Petch dilemma. We can teleport 9 people or whatever, and we have like 7 already here. Yes. We got like the team, we've got Gorge, and it's like, well, we might as well take as many as we can. And Shale, the leader of the Petch, was like, you take people, we all get punished. Yes. And we're like, we want to take all of you. It's like, you can't, you don't have the means. And so there was kind of 2 camps.
Yes.
Whereas like if we can't take all of them, we don't take any of them. I think that was Finnan was really leading that charge. I think someone was like, let's just take Gorge and go.
Yeah.
Because that's the deal.
A lot of us had said, like, let's, like Kreger came here to get Gorge. He's the only one that we're here for. And all the other Petch were kind of like, well, now you've come in here, fucked this up for us. And now you're just going to leave? Like, we're going to all get in shit for this. So that's when, I don't know if you've talked about the plan to frame Baba.
No.
Well, this is where we get to this, but I will talk about the third philosophy.
Yes.
And this is a part of Letters' character growth that we don't really talk about because it didn't really come up. But Letters was a product of the Scar and thus had a very dim view of the value of Petch because they're just kind of everywhere. And so he's like, y'all want to save Petch? Sure, okay. Like they're in, and there was the joke that they were indistinguishable. You couldn't tell them apart. They all sounded the same.
Only
he's like, whatever.
They all look the same. They all sound,
yeah. It's like, okay, here's the deal. Like, if we have a spot for 1 extra, and I was like, Letters like, hey, Petch, who wants to bail? I'm from here and I'm leaving. And one of them was like, And that would later become Clack.
Yes.
But we'll circle back to that.
We'll
So yeah,
circle
the
back.
plan was we're gonna frame Baba.
Yes.
Letters is person, because it's like, I'm burning that bridge anyways. Baba hates Zamrod, who owns this mine. So Letters burns into the wall, like the symbol of Baba, and basically a big fuck you, I took your patch.
Baba sends her regards.
Baba sends her regards. And then we're like, all right, here's the deal. We're taking Gorge and this extra guy that we have room for. Everyone hold your hands. We're
And they were
going.
kind of pissed about it. The Shale was like, I can't believe you're leaving, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
we're like, we don't listen to
To
Pet.
the extra one.
Yeah.
Yeah. To Clack.
And I believe it was like a Macaulay Culkin-esque looking
Yeah, the
patch
one that-
comes up.
Well,
looks most-
I reached out to the one who looked the most like Macaulay Culkin, which was funny to me because they're all indistinguishable. But there was some Culkinism about this one patch that spoke to Letters, who also doesn't know what Macaulay Culkin looks like because he's from a different universe.
Absolutely.
But that was what he was looking for in a patch, and boy, did he find it with Clack.
Boy, did he. Boy, howdy. Tim, you're going to have to
Oh,
shed
and
it. Go ahead, Letters.
Just for the record, it's not Home Alone Macaulay Culkin. It's like current 40-year-old
we're well
Macaulay
aware.
Culkin. Okay,
We're well
good.
aware. Older than the dawn were. Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin, if you're watching our show, thank you.
Oh man, come and guest with us
Yeah,
sometime.
please come hang
if
out
you're
with us.
watching, fucking reach out.
Tim, you're going to have to talk a little bit about what happened, because at some point, Finnan took the talisman from Kreger. So I'll let you continue and I can jump in whenever.
And, was it Finnan or was it Kokanee?
It was Kokanee had the talisman.
Kokanee had the talisman.
No, because
Yes.
Kreger had to get the talisman to get us there. And we were going to use the shard of Groombar, which was around Kokanee's net, to bring us back. That's what it is. Yes, because that's why what happened with Kokanee.
The ticket out of here was on Kokanee.
Yes.
That's the important thing.
That's the important thing.
Right.
So at some point, Finnan took the talisman from Kreger.
Right. So he had the Chaos Talisman, but it had already been spent. So it was like,
And none of us knew. We all just assumed Kreger had it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so you guys got Gorge. You now have this new patch. You can't leave anybody behind. And you all hold hands, because that's what you have to do for plane shift.
Yes.
And Kokanee is going to use the Shard of Grumbar to get you back to the material plane, because that one just goes between the elemental plane of Earth and the material plane. And so they're all standing there, and then Finnan, at the last second, he was like, just before it goes off, I break my hands. And I was like, okay. And then I realized, I was like, as he said it, I was like, wait a second. And I looked up the spell, and you have to be holding hands. So if you break the circle, then only the person who cast the spell goes. So I realized, I was like, oh shit. Now they're stuck here, because Kokanee just went pop and was gone. And the rest of them were like, oh. And then all of a sudden you were all stuck there for the next until the thing
way
recharged.
out.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Remember that Mother of Caverns where all the pets were like, oh, don't go down there.
I think we need to talk about what happened first. Though before we get to that, we need to talk
the
about
emotional fallout.
Yes. And that was where we almost ended the session. People were mad. That was, and we talked about this, the Gravelies being one of the most bloody moments that we've ever had. People were mad. I was mad.
At Adam.
For the record,
We love
Adam and Finnan were like, Finnan's whole thing is, I need to help people. I need to help innocents. And who could be more innocent than Petch? Like, we love our little Rocky lads.
Yeah.
Like, we love all of them. And he was like, if we can't take all of them, we're not leaving. That was his stance. Yeah. And as we've seen, when Finnan takes a hard stance, he sticks to it.
Yeah.
And thus we were all mad.
And use the Chaos Talisman to bring more Petch back.
Yes.
And he wound up stranding them all there.
Yes. Neppy scolded him very harshly and called him a petulant child.
Pardon the pun.
and was very, very upset.
Yeah, people were pissed. People were pissed that it was like all of a sudden. And the best was because the session ended shortly after. That might have been the. I don't think that was quite the cliffhanger,
No.
but it was because there was a bit more.
Yeah.
But I remember afterwards, Matt that week was like, I guess I like, can I play someone else? Like, absolutely, dude. Until they get back.
So Tim, you can keep going with the notes that are there. Go for it.
I should just remember all this. But so yeah, Kokanee sent back, and they are pissed off at Finn, and like both Finn and Adam did not realize that that's how the spell worked. And so it was like, oh no. And I also remember thinking like that new Petch who was just like, bye. And they're like, come, like you said you were gonna go. And you guys like now have to stay here for the night essentially, after having dispatched these guards, and you have to figure out what to do and where to hide
because they have the guard rotations. So we've left this big mess, and our plan was like blip blip out, smash and grab, easy. But now we have to be here for 8 hours.
And the only place to hide is down in
the one place the guards don't check? The Mother of Caverns.
So the Mother of Chasms lived down at the bottom of this narrow shaft that they dug, and they discovered it. And there was a bunch of really rare gems in this cavern that she lived in. But the hole was just big enough for Petch to go down. Like the giants didn't go down there. And Petch often didn't come back. It was sort of seen as like a death sentence if you were on that duty. And so it was like you had to go down and be essentially silent. So you guys had nowhere else to hide but down in this unknown pit.
Yeah. And so Neppy sends to Kokanee to make sure he's alive at this point. And she's like, okay, you're alive. Good. Please don't do anything stupid. Stay there. Don't come back for us. We will be okay. I will keep them safe. We will be back after a rest. Stay there and don't do anything rash.
We'll come back to that.
We'll come back to the don't do anything rash. And so the Petch essentially agree to our plan because it saves their asses as much as us at that point.
Yeah.
The plan being like, Baba's boys broke in here and caused a ruckus.
Yeah. Stole a Petch.
Stole a Petch to say fuck you, and then
killed
torched the plates and then left.
Yeah.
And because we wouldn't be there because we would be in the Mother of Chasms pit. Yeah.
Hidden.
Which brings us to the end.
That session.
Yeah.
And so the other thing that happened that week, before when I was talking to Matthew before the session started, he wanted to, just before the session started, he wanted to cast Warding Bond on Neppy. But obviously he's interplanar, so I was like, just humor me, roll. I think it was
a D20.
It was a D20, but I think it was maybe religion, or because he was essentially pleading with the Rathis to do this. So I think it was maybe religion. And he rolled a natural 20. He was like, he came over and rolled it, and like when we were standing there, and it was like, oh shit. Okay.
And I remembered sitting like, because Matt and I used to sit like kind of, I used to sit like over there, and Matt would sit kind of in the middle of the living room. And I remember that he like rolled it. He and Tim were chatting, and he like got up and looked. He was like, oh. And I was like, what? And he's like, nothing.
But I was like, there's a cost with this. I was like, you can't just cast Warding Bond through the planes. It's like there is a cost associated with this. So if you do it, you don't take half the damage, you take double the damage. He's like, yeah, okay. And so he played Clack, who we had come up with over the week.
And I
And-
can take it from there if you want.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, cool. So that starts us off at session 31, The Mother of Chasms, June 23rd, 2019. So we pick up just as we're getting ready to descend into the Mother of Chasms pit. And we learn there's lots of gems down there, and she makes the earth move, is what the Petch tell us at this point. And we're like, fuck. She said, and they say she also makes it so dark that nobody can see, and there are often smaller beings such as her down there. And we're like, okay, sure. Clack offers to come with us, and he uses a bit of magic. And apparently, in the scar, Clack is a giant soul sorcerer.
Yeah.
It's like a level 9 giant soul sorcerer, because I think we were level
Absolutely.
9 at this point.
Yeah.
So we take a short rest to get our bearings, because they're like, you have a couple hours before the guard changeover happens. And Neppy goes up to Finnan and is like, I was rude to you before. She doesn't apologize. She's just like acknowledges it. I was rude to you. And he apologizes like profusely and confesses that he didn't understand the magic before he did it. And Neppy's like, voice your plans before you do them.
Use your words.
Because we can help you.
Tell us where you're going, okay?
Please
Just call us when you're ready to get a ride. We'll
Ready
give you
to
a
be
ride.
picked
Doesn't
up.
matter what time of night.
Doesn't matter what state you're in. No, but like, she's basically like, the burden is more easily bared if you tell us this is what it means to be like traveling as a party. I know you've never worked in a party before, but this is what it's like. We look out for each other. And he's like, yeah, I guess I'm just used to doing things by myself. And I was like, I understand what that's like as well. But you gotta rely on people, and you gotta tell us what you're doing. So she talks to him a bit about Torin as well, because he kind of idolizes Torin at this point, and she's like, here, take these. She gives him, because before Torin had gone into combat, he gave Neppy the last of his worldly possessions, which were a handful of Caraxian coins, which look like little cogs. So Neppy takes a ribbon out of her hair and essentially threads the cogs onto them. And because Finnan still has the talisman at this point, and she puts the coins as a necklace in one hand and puts two hands up. And he just takes the talisman off and just gives it back to her. And she's like, please have these. They were Torin's. This one will feel better for you. And he's like, I don't want to wear the amulet maybe ever again. And we were like, okay. That's fine for now. I think we gave it to Yana at that point.
I love the Chaos Amulet.
Oh, it's great.
Because there's no hard and fast rules about how it works. And some players just really embrace the chaos a lot faster than others.
Yeah.
And that's a delight to me. Letters is also not allowed to wear the talisman.
Callie's
ever.
my favorite. Whenever Callie has the talisman, she takes it so seriously. I love it.
And she she never wants to give it away. She'll fly away from you. It's like a toddler with something they're not supposed to have, or like a dog that has chocolate in its mouth. It's like, what do you have in your mouth?
Yeah. So we make after this short rest, we kind of get our bearings, get some of our HP back, and we start descending down into the pit. We hear this humming noise that we're not quite sure what it is, and we smell this rotting, putrid stench emanating from the bottom of the pit. Neppy is the last one coming down. Finnan, I think, was first, because he can see through magical darkness. So he was the first one down to take a peek. And then I think a couple other people were in the row, but I know Neppy was the last one on the list. So they see down.
I think you guys had to make a stealth check on the way down, too.
We did.
Yeah.
Yes, and it was okay.
Not great.
Not great.
Blackwater style.
True Blackwater style. We didn't own our loudness at that point. We still tried to be stealthy. And I think that was even with Pass Without a Trace. It was not great. So we see that the walls are covered in these shiny, shimmering gems, and there's flying beetles. And the fight just kicks off. Tim's like, and you all roll initiative. And we're still climbing down the ladder. And there's just shining beetles on the walls. And we're like, okay. Something else is going to happen. All right. So the beetles try and make us nauseous and then try and swarm around the cave. There's also lair actions, and then just as Neppy starts finishing her descent down the ladder, the Mother of Chasms, which is an adult cave dragon, bursts through the wall behind her, literally right in the middle of the ladder. I was like, lit. Okay, cool. Just your
That's
cleric
right.
here at the back. And it's a hell of a fight. I think
Poison breath.
poison breath. Yeah. Neppy, but the first 3 times that Neppy gets hit, there is a wave of divine blue energy that seems to radiate off her, and she only takes half damage. And Tim was like, "Yep, it's this, but you take this." And I didn't know anything about what Matt had done at this point, or what Kokanee had done. So like I had no idea. And so Matt is simultaneously keeping track of both Kokanee's hit points and Clack's abilities at this point. So Clack almost dies. Yana almost dies. They both go unconscious. Callie's down to like 5 hit points. But we managed to make it through. And I'm pretty sure
Such a good fight.
the only reason we made it through is because I didn't get fucking wrecked by a dragon, because I was only taking half damage. With Letters getting the kill on that one.
It was very satisfying to get the because it was a very flashy kill because I had cast a Letters favorite. It was
Yeah.
literally Letters' whole thing. It was Wall of Fire followed by Steel Wind Strike.
Yes.
Which so like just it was cinematically I'd like donuted around
Yeah,
the
that's right.
fucking thing and then like appeared on top of it like just headbutting it to death. And
That's good.
it felt good to have your character's backstory be like, yeah, I'm someone who fights for a living and does it really flashily, and then to actually mechanically deliver a flashy kill
Yeah.
was
Absolutely.
satisfying.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Absolutely. So Letters gets the kill. And meanwhile, Matt has like been communicating with Tim, and we were like not sure what was happening, but we're all like, yeah, like we got the kill. This is great. Neppy skins the dragon and and we get a ton of diamonds and gems. We're like, okay, we're gonna spend like, I was like, I need to rest because I need to recharge, or someone needs to rest because they need to recharge the talisman. So we'll go in shifts essentially, because like we might have to fight guards that come down here if they heard any of this ruckus. So we get a shit ton of diamonds and gems from the cave. We also find 5 cave dragon eggs, and we destroy 4 of them. One is impervious to us, and its shell is too hard to be cracked in its current stage of growth, which was the cave dragon that we fought in the second big earth elemental plane fight when we went to rescue Clack from Mellack, Baba, and Zamorak.
And it got away
Oh.
again, I think.
And it got away again. Yes, it did.
Ultimate big bad. That one dragon.
That
The
one.
World Eater.
Ugh, no, thank you.
Ah.
And Tim was just like, too many legs. He was like, this dragon
Daddy of
has
caverns.
Cavern daddy. So
Daddy of Caverns. Oh, I like that.
So people start resting. We start going down. Like Neppy has almost no magic left, and all she has left is 1 3rd-level spell slot. And so she's like, Callie, you've got a slot left for Revivify. Yes, good. And Callie was like, yeah, I got it. And I was like, and Neppy was like, great. I'm gonna send to Kokanee and tell him we're okay. And then the sending doesn't go through. And I like the noise that came out of me was like a not okay noise. So Neppy almost like collapses against the wall when she like puts 2 and 2 together. I thought Kokanee was dead. I thought he was dead.
But it was just interplanar interference.
Well, she realizes what he did. She has a sense that I asked him, I was like, can I put 2 and 2 together? Because like I, as Emma, was starting to piece it together, but I wasn't totally sure. And she's like, Tim was like, you think he used some form of magic to keep Neppy safe across the plains, to take some of the damage for you? And I was like, oh my God, he's dead. Like he's just dead across the plains. Maybe he did this by himself. There was nobody around to heal him. He couldn't heal himself. He's dead. I was like, I'm going to go home. Neppy's going to go home and find the person she loves just fucking dead. So she keeps this to herself because she doesn't have any more magic to send to anybody. And nobody has sending at that point. She's the only one who can communicate, and that was her last spell slot. So she's like, I'm not going to try and alarm the group. I'm just going to keep this because we just need to get home. I'm going to just try and sleep so that we can get home in the morning. Finnan stays up all night, mining gems and diamonds and with the help of like Gorge and Gregor and Clack to get as many of the diamonds as we can. We managed pulling in like a lot of diamonds. I think it was almost 1,000 gold pieces worth of diamonds and gems.
Petch do good work.
They do do good work. So the next morning, we rouse ourselves and we hear commotion coming down the ladder. And we're like, we gotta fucking get out of here. We're going right now. So we like plane shift and we get the fuck out. We make it back into Kamea's yard and Neppy just fucking takes off. Like Neppy is just running towards the house. Kamea opens the door and she just like barrels past Kamea. She's like, where is he? So she runs upstairs. Kokanee is barely alive. He's on death's door at this point. And he had rolled the natural 20, asking for Arathis' help to have Neppy only take half damage, and that's now why he takes double damage from.
Yeah, he took full damage.
Yes.
That's what it was. It wasn't double damage at the time, but it's because he went unconscious.
Yes.
That he now is vulnerable to poison damage because of all he took all that poison damage
for
through the plains, and it made him vulnerable to poison.
Yeah, and the only reason he didn't die was because
Kamea, he said to me too, he was like, I would also ask Kamea to be with me just in case.
Smart move.
Like, okay. Yep.
Because he would have died.
She saved his life. Yeah.
Kamea saved his life. So when he gets back, he's got 2 points of exhaustion. He essentially is like barely alive. So she heals him and removes the exhaustion. And like, we're just like, we're taking the day. We're taking the day. We just got back. I was like, we're all taking the day. So Neppy tells Kokanee about that eventually. And he's frustrated and angry at Finnan, that Finnan put the only people he loves at risk, especially Neppy.
Oh, yeah, and they were just fighting in the street like 2 days ago.
Like a day and a half, yeah. Like 2 days before.
Throwing hands
in the street. And so Neppy is just basically like, I know. Give him time. He'll come, like, you both will come around. It will be okay. He didn't know what he was doing. He knows the error of his ways. And I'm never going to be far from you like that ever again. Ever. And they take a day and a half off. Because we're just like, Neppy's like, nope, we're not doing anything for a fucking day and a half.
Clear the schedule.
Clear the schedule. And that was it. And I think at the end of that session, we vowed never to go back to the Earth Elemental Plane ever again.
But it just keeps digging its claws in.
I never made that vow.
I did. I think I was like, I never want to go there ever again. I hate that place.
Great place. It's a great place.
It's delightful.
It's a great place once you get to know it. Like,
it's so good.
Even better now.
Much
Way
better now.
Still sand spiders, still Zorns. We didn't really get into the Zorn talk, but
I know there was never enough time to go Zorn wrangling.
Zorn Ranch. The Zorn Ranch. The one-armed giant who runs the Zorn Ranch.
One-armed Gornick. I remember him.
One-armed Gornick.
Look, Tim, there's just not enough time to pull on all the delicious threads.
Don't worry.
Because, like, that would just be in the same way that Ubi was basically a whole episode unto herself. One-armed Gornick would at least be half an episode.
Yeah, I mean, you don't ranch Zorn without